Welcome to the Learn Math Quickly video series. If you're watching this video, it means that you're in the process of studying mathematics. It means that you have studied your addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division of whole numbers, and you're ready for fractions. But before we begin with fractions, I'd like to tell you how this whole video series works. You'll notice that the video series consists of 21 videos. This is the Basic Math Workbook, which goes along with videos A, B, C, D, and E. That's addition, subtraction, the multiplication tables, multiplication, and division. Now, this is Workbook 1, and this goes along with videos 1 through 5, which is fractions and word problems. Now, this book here is Workbook 2. This is Learn Math Quickly Workbook 2, and it goes along with videos 6 through 8, which is decimals, percent, and ratio and proportion. This is Workbook 3, and this goes along with videos 9 through 12, measurement, and geometry. And this last book, this is Algebra, and this is Workbook 4, and it goes along with videos 13 through 16. Now, I'd like to tell you how to use this system. And you'll find these instructions in the beginning of each of the workbooks. In fact, it's right here. It says how to use the Learn Math Quickly video series. Now, what are you going to do? Well, you're going to take a pretest. And the pretests are in the front of each book. There's pretest 1 and pretest 2. You have your choice, or you can take both if you'd like. After you finish the pretest, what I want you to do is I want you to check your answers, and that's at the back of the pretest. I want you to check your answers. And if you find that any of your answers differ from the ones in the book, you can check with this chart, which comes before the pretests. Now, this chart will tell you exactly what video you need to start with. So if some of your answers differ, you can check the chart, and it will tell you what video to begin with. What I want you to do then is I want you to watch the video. And you can watch it as many times as you'd like. And after you finish watching the video, I want you to listen very carefully to that video, because at the end, it will tell you exactly what pages you need to do in the workbook. So I want you to do those pages in the workbook. I want you to check your answers. The answers come at the end of the chapter. And you'll have 2 opportunities to practice, because in each chapter, there is part 1 and part 2 for practice, and then there's test 1 and test 2 for more practice. So if you feel like you need more practice, there's plenty of practice in each chapter in the workbook. Make sure that you check your answers in the back of the workbook. Well, actually, it's in the back of each chapter in the workbook, and then you can go on to the next video. It's as simple as that. Now, it's very important, and I want to caution you about this. It's very, very important when doing mathematics to make sure that you are thorough. Well, if you challenged me to a basketball game and you said, Janet, I'm going to challenge you to this basketball game. In 1 month, we're going to play a game. I can promise you that I would practice every day for at least 2 hours. And at the end of that month, I would be a much better basketball player than I am today. I might not win the game, but I would definitely be a better player. And the reason is because I practiced. And it's the same thing with mathematics. If you want to learn math quickly, one of the best things to do is to be thorough in your studies and to practice. And let me show you why. Here is a little pyramid. And it's a makeshift pyramid, of course. But you'll see that on the bottom there is addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. That's of whole numbers. And then is fractions and decimals. After that, you see percent. From there is ratio and proportion. And then there's algebra and geometry. And this is the way we're going to be studying math in this series. Now, if you're not thorough in your studies, if you don't do the practice work that you need to do, what will happen is that, you'll have some gaps in your knowledge, just like you might have some gaps in this pyramid. Now, take a look. If I had built this pyramid and I had left out some of the blocks, what do you think would happen to the pyramid? Well, yeah, it would probably fall down, and you don't want that to happen to your math. So be very thorough and make sure that you don't have any gaps in your knowledge. I want you to learn math quickly and learn math easily. And the best way to do it is by watching the videos as many times as you'd like and then doing the practice work in the workbooks. So are you ready to begin? Well, let's begin with fractions. Let's begin with fractions. Welcome. We're going to be looking at fractions. Now, usually a fraction has a top number and a bottom number. The top number is called the numerator, and the bottom number is called the denominator. And I always remember because I think D for down. So the bottom number is the denominator, and the top number is the numerator. Now, the bottom number, the denominator, tells me how many pieces in the whole, and the top number tells me how many pieces I get. So the bottom number, the denominator, tells me how many pieces in the whole, and the top number tells me how many pieces I get. So here's the whole, and there are 1, 2, 3 pieces in the whole. And how many am I getting? I'm only getting 1. But I'm getting 1/3 of the pie, or 1/3 of the whole. So if this was a pie, I would be getting 1/3 of the pie. 3 pieces in the pie, and I'm getting 1 of them. Let's say somebody decided to give me, another piece right in here. Well, then I would be getting 2/3 of the pie. Remember, 3 pieces in the pie, that's the denominator, the amount in the whole. 3 pieces, and I'm getting 2 of them. That's the number I get, the numerator. So I would get 2/3 of the pie. And what's left over? Just 1/3 of the pie. If I had a fraction like 4/5, well, that would mean that there are 5 pieces in the pie, and I'm getting 4 of them. If I had a fraction like 7/8, that would say that there are 8 pieces in the pie, and I'm getting 7 of them. So the bottom number, the denominator, tells me how many pieces in the pie, and the top number tells me how many pieces I'm getting. Now, with fractions, they've given them names, and I'd like to tell you about the names of some fractions. So get ready. The first name that they've given a fraction is called a proper or common fraction, and I'm going to show you some examples of that. A proper or a common fraction is a plain old fraction. 1/3 is a proper or common fraction. 2/5 is a proper or common fraction. 3/4 is a proper or common fraction. 1/2 is a proper or common fraction. 1/4 is a proper or common fraction. Now, what's a proper or common fraction? Well, it's a fraction in which the top number is smaller than the bottom number. The top number is smaller than the bottom number, and that's a plain old common fraction, a proper or common fraction. So that's the first kind of fraction. It's called a proper fraction. Now, the second kind of fraction is called an improper fraction. Now, an improper fraction is not so proper at all. In fact, it's the opposite of a proper fraction. What it is that the top number is either the same or more than the bottom number. 5/5 is an improper fraction. 5/3 is an improper fraction. 2/1 is an improper fraction. 4/3 is an improper fraction. 8/2 is an improper fraction. An improper fraction, the top number is either the same or more than the bottom number. Now, I remember improper fraction in this way. I think about if I go to the store and I say to the man, could I have 1/3 of a pound of raisins? If I give him the money, he'll give me 1/3 of a pound of raisins. I say, please, may I have 3/4 of a pound of cheese? Well, he'll give me my 3/4 of a pound of cheese if I pay him. I say, please, may I have 1/4 of a pound of almonds? Well, he would give me that, 1/2 pound of peaches. But if I go to the store and I say to the man, sir, may I have 5/5 of a pound of plums? Or may I have 5/3 of a pound of peaches? Or may I have 2/1 of a pound of bananas? Or may I have 4/3 of a pound of bologna? Or may I have 8/2 of a pound of almonds? Man's going to think I'm a little crazy, huh? These are the improper fractions. These are the numbers that are improper. Improper. Remember, proper, improper, and the last kind is called a mixed number. Now, a mixed number is a whole number plus a proper fraction, 1.5. Is a whole number plus a proper fraction. 1.5 is a mixed number. 2 3/4 is a mixed number. 6 5/10 is a mixed number. A whole number and a proper or common fraction is called a mixed number. So there are 3 kinds of fractions. Proper, plain old common fraction, the type that has the top number smaller than the bottom number. Improper, where the top number is the same or larger than the bottom number. Or a mixed number, which has a whole number and a proper fraction. Now, for some reason, they're always trying to put these poor fractions on diets. And what we're going to do is we're going to learn how to reduce fractions. So, get ready. Take a look. Here we have 2 circles. Now, you know, in this circle, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces. And 4 is the denominator, right? 4 is how many pieces in the whole. And in this circle, there's only 2 pieces. True? 4 pieces, 2 pieces. Now, if somebody said, Janet, you can have 2 pieces of this pie, well, then I would get 2/4 of the pie. And if someone said, Janet, you can have 1 piece of this pie, and I get 1/2 of this pie. Now, I have to tell you, as you can tell, I made these circles, and they are the same size circles. Do you think that 2/4 equals 1/2? What do you think? Well, it does. 2/4 equals 1/2. The only difference is that we've made another cut in the pie right there. And this is called reducing fractions. Now, I have to tell you that you can't always draw pies when it comes to mathematical expressions. So what I would like to show you is how to do it numerically. Are you ready? Here we go. If we have 2/4, and we're going to reduce it, we need to find a number, one number, the same number that you can divide into the top and into the bottom evenly. And can you think of one number besides 1 that you can divide into both the top and the bottom evenly? I can. It's 2. So let's divide by 2. 2 into 2 goes once, and 2 into 4 goes 2. And that's how I've gone from 2/4 to 1/2. I divided by the same number into the top and the bottom, which divides evenly. So 2/4 equals 1/2. Let's do another one. Let's say we have 5/10. And we want to reduce this. And one of the reasons why we want to reduce this is because at the end of a problem in math, they always want your answer in lowest terms. And that means that it's reduced. It's reduced down to the point where you cannot divide anything evenly into the top or the bottom number, the same number evenly. So let's take a look. 5/10. Can you think of one number, the same number, that you can divide into both the top and the bottom? Can you think of one? Sure you can. It's 5. So let's divide 5 into 5 goes once, and 5 into 10 goes twice. So this means that there are 10 pieces in the pie, and I'm getting 5 of them. And a same size pie has 2 pieces, and I'm only getting 1 of it. 5/10 equals 1/2. And this is called reducing. I found that the more you know your times tables, the easier reducing will be. Let's try another one. Let's try 6/8. Now, we need a number, the same number that we can divide into evenly into both the top and the bottom. Can you think of one? Sure, it's 2. 2 into 6 goes 3. 2 into 8 goes 4. So 6/8 reduced will equal 3/4. Getting the idea? Well, let's try yet one more. And this one is 6/12. Now, when I look at these two numbers, I say, oh my, there are many numbers that you can divide into the 6 and into the 12, besides one. Many numbers. There's 2, there's 3, and there's 6. And when reducing, it's a very good idea to look for the highest number so that you only have to reduce once. If you pick a lower number, you might find you have to reduce again. So let's say that we're going to reduce by 2. So we divide 2 into 6, and we get 3, and 2 into 12, and we get 6. Do you see what happens? We need to reduce one more time, and we're going to divide by 3. 3 into 3 goes once, and 3 into 6 goes 2. So 6/12 equals 1/2. Now, if we had divided by the larger number, which was 6, well, my goodness, 6 into 6 goes once, 6 into 12 is 2 times. We would have gotten the answer a little bit quicker. So sometimes you can't think of those larger numbers, go with the smaller ones. But if you can't think of the larger number, it's a good idea to divide or reduce by that larger number. Now, for some of you, I think you might have had enough. For some of you, you'd like to go on a little bit more. If you've had enough and you'd like to practice your reducing, well then, I would like you to take a look at the workbook, the Learn Math Quickly Workbook 1. And what I'd like you to do is take a look at pages 6 and pages 8. Part 1 is page 6 and part 2 is page 8. And this will show you how to reduce fractions. You can get lots of practice with that. And if anyone wants to go on with me, I am going to do the opposite of reducing, which is changing to higher terms. So those of you who want to practice, come back later. And those of you who want to do some more, well, we're going to be changing to higher terms. Let me show you how to do that. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to do the opposite of reducing. In reducing, we went to lower terms. But when we change to higher terms, we're going to a higher number. Take a look. In this number, 2/5, there are 5 pieces in the pie, and I'm getting 2 of them. Here, the question is asking me, how many pieces will I get if I make 25 slices? And how do I do that? How do I find that out? Well, we could buy 2 pies, the same size, and we could cut. But if you want to do it with numbers, what you need to do is you need to divide the bottom and then multiply the top. You need to divide the bottom and multiply the top. Did you hear that? Divide the bottom and multiply the top. So what you're going to do is you're going to divide 5 into 25, which will go 5 times. And then you're going to take this number and you're going to multiply it by the top number. 5 times 2 is 10. So 5 into 25 goes 5, and 5 times 2 is 10. Now what that means is that in this pie, they were cut into 5 slices, and I got 2 of them. When they cut the same pie into 25 slices, I got 10 of them. Of course, they're little slices, but I got 10 of them. So that's how we do the opposite of reducing. And I know there's someone sitting out there right now who's saying, why do we have to learn this? Well, I'll tell you why. When we get to addition and subtraction and multiplication and division of fractions, you're going to have to know how to do this. So get ready. Get ready. Okay, let's do another one. Do you remember? It's divide the bottom, multiply the top. Okay? We're going to be changing 2/3 into 9ths. Again, 3 pieces in the pie. I'm getting 2 of them. How many slices will I get if I have 9, if they cut it into 9 pieces? What am I going to do? Divide the bottom, multiply the top. Got it? So 3 into 9 goes 3 times. And 3 times 2 is 6. So 2/3 really equals 6/9. In other words, if they divided the pie into 9 slices, I get 6 of them. Let's try it again. So you remember how to do it? You divide the bottom, multiply the top. Let's try with 3/10, and we're going to make it into hundredths. Here I have 10 pieces in the pie, and I get 3 of them. And now we're going to cut the pie into 100 pieces. What do? Divide the bottom, multiply the top. So I divide the bottom. I put 10 into 100. And 10 goes into 100 10 times, right? And so 10 times 3 is 30. So if they divided the pie into 100 pieces, I would get 30 of them. You divide the bottom and you multiply the top. Let's try one more. One more. Here we go. We have 6/8, and we're going to change it into 24. What do? Divide the bottom, multiply the top. So 8 goes into 24 3 times. True? 8 goes into 24 3 times, and 3 times 6 is 18. So if there were 8 pieces in the pie and I got 6 of them, they split it into 24 pieces, I would get 18. Now what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to get some practice. And I'd like you to get some practice in the Workbook 1. And in Workbook 1, I want you to do pages 6 through 7 and 8 through 9. That's part 1 and part 2. Try the test. Try test 1 and test 2. And then come on back for video number 2.